2, 1, live. Stefano, we did it. I'm so happy to have this chat with you because usually when I see, big brands jumping into the metaverse, gaming, NFTs, I always think, I don't know. Sometimes I have the feeling that they don't really have skin in the game. But when I saw you, I think it was the end of last year with the new unit that has been launched,
Yes.
and knowing a bit of your background, I thought, wow, I mean, Stefano, he knows about this stuff, and I'm really curious to understand what you're going to do. So I'm really happy about this conversation. Tell me, first of all, what are you focused on at the moment? Because you are on many different things, and maybe my audience would like to understand more.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for having this chat. I'm really pleased to be talking to you. You're definitely someone very credible in this environment. So I'm
Thank
glad
you.
I have the chance and the opportunity. So what I do, basically, I started a company 2 years ago called D Cave, focusing on gaming lifestyle experience. Our initial idea was to focus on generating physical spaces for gamers to meet, come together, and find all the best things and elements about their lifestyle. So, from actively participating into tournaments, meeting their reference talents, playing, of course, to finding also merchandise drops that are inside that environment. And thanks to DK, I got closer and closer to, of course, NFTs, metaverse, Web3, the evolution. And our group, my family owns the OTB group, got very curious about the space, understood the new way of living that was coming from this new space. And we decided to open a dedicated company called BVX. That means Brave Virtual Experiences, that is bringing basically all of our brands into the virtual world. And for your public, if they don't know what OTB is a holding company of several brands in the fashion industry. So Diesel, Maison Margiela, Marni, Victor and Rolf, Jill Sander, Amiri. So if you want, I had a background in fashion, but I loved gaming, and through my startup, I was able to bring OTB into this new space.
That's interesting because what I notice is that it's very difficult to understand the space if you just read the news. You don't put your 100 hours of study. It's very, very easy to get an impulsive opinion about, I don't know, NFTs. In Italy, for instance, I see a lot of comments that are very negative about NFTs, or also in the gaming industry. I spoke with a friend the other day. He's a great game developer, so he's into the sector, and he was really against gaming NFT. And then I spoke with Justin Khan, the founder of Twitch, who is really pro gaming NFTs, because he said no, this is what everyone will have NFTs in gaming. So is a very interesting the kind of reactions. I don't know what's your perception there.
I think the blockchain technology is giving us an opportunity to certify, authorize, generate uniqueness inside the digital space. So I think it's wrong to say that you are against it. It might not be your way of interacting with your public, but in the future everything will be tokenized. Everything we want will be tokenized.
Yeah.
But it's just a natural evolution, I think, from acquiring tickets to go to the movie theater, concerts, to art, to abilities inside video gamings. Everything will be basically an NFT. So um, for me, it's difficult to not see this coming. I would understand if someone choose not to do it, but the public is going to ask, because it's going to be a new way of interacting and using things and benefits.
There is a very interesting interview that I watched last week. Mark Zuckerberg with, I think Lex Friedman was the interviewer. And And Zach, I have to say that, of course, he's very smart. I mean, he's trying to launch his Zuckerverse, or I don't know how you call it. I mean, everything in the world of Zuckerberg is around his vision, of course. But the point was that, of course, we are in a sense already in the metaverse. I mean, we are in a metaverse in this moment. We never met, and we meet here in this digital screen, and we have this communication. And the more time we spend on digital, the more the digital objects are very important. So if I go in a chat with you, what is digital there is important for me. Is important the number of the followers, is important the blue check on Twitter, is everything is important. So I think maybe people underestimate how much time they spend already on their phone every day, and their life is already digital a lot. And so it makes sense that, for instance, a fashion brand can sell a digital object and it's the same value for like a physical object.
Of course, and the more we go on, the more it will be like that. So already today, you know how many times it happens that you want to even filter yourself through a filter, through a
Yeah.
phone filter. It's just a normal thing. Your presence in the digital world has a meaning for you and the people around you. And Web2 taught us how important it was to generate your presence inside social media. And Web3 is just taking it to the next level. It's not only the picture you post or the comments you make, but it's all the objects you own, the art you own and you collect, is how your avatar looks, what it does. I really truly believe it's just a natural evolution. We're simply maintaining and growing that path that we already started walking 10 years ago with Web2 social media.
Tell me, Stefano, how is structured this new company? I mean, what kind of roles, skills you have inside? What kind of hiring are you planning to do? How does it work?
Yes. So basically, the company started with one clear aim. We need to become a production company for the brands of the group. Right now, we're very lean because we started just a few weeks ago. So
Yeah,
we are a few people. Not saying the number because it's ridiculous.
right.
And
It's a
but our
startup.
is a startup. But our approach is it's always going to be to be lean because we believe capabilities are out there for a grab. So you don't need necessarily to hire people anymore. You can work with amazing partners, amazing competent people without necessarily having them at full paycheck. Plus, there is another thing to say that basically the more we go on, we realize that Web3 people, for instance, like community managers, 3D designers, they don't want to be hired by a company. They rather work as independent and, develop their own company. So there
Right.
is a very different mentality. It's not like 20 years ago that you had a strong brand and people wanted to work, for that brand to get some level of security. Now kids want to be entrepreneurs. They want a piece of the cake. So they're really after that participation, that collaboration, but not necessarily being full-time employee. And that's the way we're going. So we're looking, by the way, the two people we're really looking for now are community manager, so
Right.
hard to find, and
Yes.
3D and tech design. Yeah.
The community manager and people like Discord specialist, Discord bots consultant. I mean, it's incredible. This is a job that 5 minutes ago didn't even exist, and now is so important. I was chatting with Boy George, and that launched his own NFTs, and I think he got like 7 moderators on his Discord. I have 5 on my Discord. I mean, it's a job. It's 24 hours a
Yeah.
day. People keep writing and interacting on Discord like crazy. So that's really an interesting new job. Another thing, Stefano, I was curious about what you said. Everything will be tokenized. That we want to tokenize. It's interesting because the incentives in that situation, for instance, for someone who work with you, is Yeah, that he can
Okay.
have a token of the project, so it's sort of equity in the project, and that changed completely his approach. It was possible before, you could give shares of a company, but it's much more complicated. Like this, I got token if the or NFTs if the project goes good. Great. I mean, it's a new dynamic there. What do you think?
100%. And I think it's giving value to the token owners, but as well to the companies, because you know that the people that are working on that specific project can basically leverage and generate value for themselves and the company right away. So it's the same logic of a shareholder, but in this case, you feel you have much more impact because big organizations are big. Your job probably has an impact, but it's very hard for you to see the
Yeah.
value creation. Here we're all in a small organization, so if you work properly and you are able to grow a community or design a great wearable, you see it right away, and the value that you generate around that NFT or that project is right in your hands. So it's quite fascinating. But I think what's really fascinating about Web3 is this logic of value generation that is spread across all users. So even whoever generate projects, they don't only want to make money. Yes, of course, maybe they're after that, but for them what's important is to generate value for their users and their fan base. And I think that's the game changer here that is really
Mm.
driving a lot of attention to this word.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a different way. I was thinking of doing a video about principles. What are the principles that are moving you? And in Web3, I talk with so many people who first they're already billionaire, so they don't need money. I mean, the founder of Cardano or the CZ from Binance, they're already rich. They don't need money, so they want to do things in a different way, and they don't like the fact that, I don't know, web is centralized. They want more the decentralization. So it's a different principle that they play by, and it's not an economic incentive there. And most of the people don't get it because there is a lot of speculation around probably
Sure.
crypto and NFT. Question I was curious about. Imagine that you go to a fashion event, a traditional fashion event, and there are all of the people in fashion there, okay?
Hmm.
And you are keynote speaker and say, all right, there is this Web3 award, and here are, let's say, the top 3 opportunities. Where do you start from? Do you start with the metaverse, the NFT, what?
In a traditional fashion show,
Yeah, like with traditional people working in fashion, marketing director of fashion companies, CEOs. How would you
I,
convince them to jump on
I
board, and where should they start from?
yeah, I believe it's kind of all connected. So if you're a very good marketer, or I don't even like to say that, if you're a very good person inside this space, you'll bring a project that has the 3 of them. So an NFT component, a wearable component, a metaverse component. And that is what really creates also a solid project. If it's only a portion of it, great, it might work, it's fine enough. But if you really want to generate value for the users, you need to bring more than just one utility. So I would approach with a project that is kind of more rounded. And by the way, it's the same thing that we're doing with our drops, with BVX, but also with DK, my startup. We really try to build projects that have a full scope, so users can go from uh, owning an NFT, utilizing that item or that tool inside a metaverse, but also maybe link it to a physical product, because that's the nice part about the fashion industry, is that you can connect the two. So sky's the limit there, but I think you need to have a very rounded approach.
I like it because until this moment, probably a lot of people thought about NFTs just like art. A piece of art. There is an image. That's it. People, 60 million. That's the mainstream media storytelling. What I see more and more. smart companies are going for, uh, let's say, an exploration of what kind of utilities NFT can offer to you. An object, access to events, experience. I mean, is let's say, is a piece of code that allow you to do a lot of different, give you a lot of different access to different things. And I don't know why there are not so many companies already doing it. This I don't understand. Do you think it's just because it's difficult to get it at the beginning? It's harder to.
Yeah, I think it's culture. So first of all,
Right.
to be frankly honest, this space is evolving at speed light, so
Yeah.
it's very hard to keep up. Even, I mean, myself, I don't know about yourself, but every day
Crazy.
there is so much happening. And I was having a discussion with a friend in this space. He said, weeks here are months, and it's true. And on the other side, you have an industry, the fashion industry, for instance, that months are are weeks. So it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Uh, to move an industry that is quite traditional, have long lead time, they're used to the same system, and getting them used to another type of environment that they need to understand first, study, and then also implement, it's not that easy. So I guess that's the real limitation now. It's because it was very far from what they're doing, and they are at a slow pace, and they don't. It's very hard for them to keep up with such changes in such fast time.
Do you think that, I mean, fashion is an industry that I think immediately started to understand that there could be some opportunity there in Web3. Do you see other industries that are interesting, that you think they will be next in the adoption?
Hmm. It's a good question. I've seen beverages, funny enough, that you think,
Right?
how come, beverages are into this space? I mean, that's the thing that you will never guess about on the metaverse. But true enough, they've been developing decent NFT projects, good spaces inside metaverses. So they are trying hard to find their own identity within the space. So that's a weird one. Who else? I know, then retail, it's also looking at this. So how can they develop their presence inside the metaverse is a big question mark. And there have been some good examples of linking of traditional buying. So for instance, you buy, I cannot mention the name, but you
Yeah,
buy into this supermarket, and whatever amount you make in there, you can participate, depending on how much you spend, you can participate to get access to X amount of mana into Decentraland
I see.
and the sandbox. So it's quite interesting. They're looking and trying. By the way, and I want to say that probably because they're so far out, they are also trying to experiment more than the traditional NFT projects that I think not everyone is being really evolving that much.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was curious about metaverse, and then I want to go into the 10th of March drop that you have. That is very interesting. I was curious about your decision process about metaverse, because where do you go in this moment? Do you build your own metaverse? You go on one specific one and you bet on one? You go all over? How do you approach the space?
Our approach is quite open. So the way we're trying to go is try to experiment as much as possible. So I want to work with everybody, honestly.
Right.
I have friends in all sides, and I think in this moment, historical moment, that no one is really taking over or becoming the point of reference, brands should really try and understand how they fit best in all the environments. I have very good relationship with the Decentraland, I have very good relationship with the Sandbox. um, I wouldn't recommend brands to build their own, just because it's a lot of investments, A, and B, it's hard then to bring people, and then C, is hard to keep people there,
Yeah.
because you need to keep evolving the space. So I think that that's something that I wouldn't recommend. It's easier to work with existing one that have traffic, have a logic, have all the components to make your experience there successful.
And what about gaming?
Gaming, funny enough. So interesting. I started my experience around gaming because I really saw the cultural evolution, how it became a full entertainment system versus before it was an individual entertainment moment. Um, with Web3, I have to say it has a little bit, just a little bit, slow down in terms of visibility, in terms of hype, but I have the feeling it's gonna come back pretty
Mm.
strong soon. Plus, most of the metaverses at the end are gaming platform. So the Sandbox, for me, even Fortnite, at some extent, Animal Crossing, they're kind of metaverses on their own. So it's quite interesting. So gaming is still there, and probably in the long run they're gonna be the platform also that are gonna stand the long way.
Do you expect that after this initial period where some gaming companies tried to introduce NFTs and then stepped back because the reaction was bad from the community? So they say, "Ah, sorry, no, we change our mind." Do you expect that they will all introduce some sort of NFTs or, let's say, a Web3 layer inside their games?
I think so. I mean, the real successful one, the real big ones, I think they have to just be for what we said before. Everything will be tokenized, so it will make sense for them to do that. Plus, I also believe sooner or later there will be some level of interaction within platforms that today are closed. So if you don't have, and don't give your users that opportunity to own, a digital asset that then they can move somewhere else, you're missing out in user experience, and that's something that you cannot afford to do. So it's just a matter of evolution and timing, finding the right matrix, what it means for this gaming platform to have NFTs inside. Um, but I don't see it. I see it coming as a basic rule in the medium run.
Got it. What do you think about the criticism and how to handle those ones? Because for you guys, it's easy. I mean, you are the brave by definition, So I expect you say, "All right, we do it. We are brave. We don't care, if you criticize, if you don't believe in the space, whatever." But there are maybe fashion brands or brands that are more traditional, or even gaming companies that was expecting more experimental and courageous about the space, that they are very play with big attention not to disappoint the community. And if someone say NFT, I don't know, are bad for environment or whatever that you can say, immediately stop everything and wait until everything will be safer to play. So how do you handle that?
It's never easy. I mean, it's a choice. Probably we are also in that position that we can play with this space because for us is brand new. For someone that has an established relationship and strong user experiences and strong user cases, they need to be careful. Yet I think there is nothing wrong into trying, into experimenting. If you make it wrong the first time, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make it wrong the second time. Just jump the it's a bit of leap of faith.
Mm.
I'm also surprised about the criticism because this environment, it's so new at the end. I mean, what are we talking about? 6 months ago, a year ago, NFTs, Discord even was used in a total different way. So everything is in constant evolution. And it's weird that the users and adopters of this space are kind of criticizing who is trying to do maybe something different.
Yeah. It's crazy how the culture is different. If you go on Twitter and I don't know, you write, I have, I don't know, 15% interest on my saving account. A traditional person used to traditional banks say, oh, this is a scam. People in Web3 say, oh, this is so low. It's like it's a different universe. So it's really curious. Tell me about what happened on the 10th of March. Um, that I think going to be very interesting and very important in general for the space, because when a company like yours move into the space worldwide, I mean that I think is going to be a very important moment.
Yes. So we're going basically to do our first project under BVX, and it's going to be the launch of a series of NFTs and tokens linked to our for Diesel, linked for to our latest fall winter 22 fashion show. That was an amazing success. Um, Press wise, I mean, very good comments on all the job that has been done by our new creative director, Glenn Martins. So we decided to basically generate around that fashion show also a moment that was a digital moment, something that would grant access and utilities to diesel lovers, diesel users, but also people in the Web3 to our brand. So the 10th will be the release finally of this project that is made of several tokens, one access token, and then three more exclusive tokens. Divided in layers, and yeah, just I mean, I wish I can tell you a lot more. Unfortunately, I can't. But I would love your public to follow up on Discord all the latest, because the 10th we will have a private sale for the few lucky that are whitelisted, and then we will go and have a public sale on the 12th. We will be available also on a trading platform, so it's not only directly sold by us. We were able to involve a huge trading platform that are about art. So it's quite an interesting project. We will have utilities linked to it, wearable linked to it. It's quite nice one.
Is it right to say, Stefano, that is not like a one-shot project, but is a long-term project that starts on the 10 and then we'll have an evolution in the following.
Yes, 100%. So just to give you some numbers, I mean, under the BVX umbrella, we work with all the brands. We have a list of more than 30 projects for the next year. I hope we will be able to manage at
Wow.
least half of it,
Yeah.
because they're all quite quite hard and a lot of work, but they're all super cool and exciting. But Marco, what I think we're doing properly is that we are not trying to, do what other people have been doing. We're really trying to bring our values and what the brand stands for with these projects. So this is just the first one, is a simple one, and there are a lot of good utilities around it. But I think further down the line, you will see projects that have a sense for our brands, but they cannot be replicated by other people in the space, because we are really thinking from who we are, what we stand for, and that specific project will make sense just for that brand. It's not going to be possible for other people to copy it, because it will not make sense for them. And that, I think, is the real value creation, is when you try to be true to yourself and bring something unique to your user base, your customer base.
That's interesting, because once I think you attract your super fans and 10,000, 100,000 true followers, whatever the number is, it's really different because you have the same incentive. The incentives are completely aligned because I got the NFT and I'm leaving it with my NFTs. I mean, we didn't sell many, like 3,600, but all the people are really aligned on the project because they have not
Yes.
only financial incentive, they are part of a community. If the community goes up, everyone happy. More opportunities, more access, more experience, more collaborate. Everything is good. So it's the first time that I have a community that is not only a client that give me the money, bye bye, I give you a service, and that's it. We are part of the same game, and it's very exciting. I have to say, it's really a different relationship with people. And if you're not inside, you don't understand, and you say, "Yeah, but why don't you just sell a pair of shoes and that's it?" It's not the same thing. I don't know if you have the same feeling.
No, absolutely. And also, I feel your project is successful because it's you, you know? It makes sense because you're there, people trust you,
Yeah,
whatever you say you do, people feel are part of that project that is around your values. And it's the same for brands. So yes, we can make a shoe, we will probably maybe do one, but we need to generate a proposition that is unique for the users, and then they can know that they can generate value for them. So again, as you said, we are part of the same boat, and we're both trying to generate values for all of us. Is the power of Web3 is the community, honestly. That's the real most powerful thing.
yeah,
Everybody is generating value for each other. That I think is something that was not there when I started working in the fashion industry. There was a brand trying to do something amazing, a product, and just sold it. And then, yes, I maintained my relationship making more products, but that was it. You know, I make you buy. Now it's different. I mean, I do something for you, you do something for me. We are inside a community, we share information. You have a direct relationship through Discord because, as you know,
yeah.
you cannot be silent. You need to be there, answer to people, give them feedback. And that's the way also that you bring and generate more value to your project.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, I was curious about your opinion on how product selling will change. Yesterday, I bought my 8 years old son said, "I want a Rubik's cube 2x2." Okay, so I went on Amazon, bought actually I followed the orders. You say buy this one, and I said, "All right, buy this one." My first reaction, now that I'm into this world, was, "All right, so the cube arrived tomorrow, but are they also selling me with the same purchase? Are they giving me an NFT of this cube that I can use maybe, or my son can use somewhere else? Are they giving me a token of this that I can use in a community?" My instinctive reaction was, why you sell me only the piece of plastic? Why there is no the full pack? So I was thinking, do you think like a fashion brand, when you'll go buy like a jumper, will be normal that you buy a jumper and you have like three different things: jumper, NFT, the digital replica of the jumper you can
Mhm.
use in the metaverse, or it will be normal. This will be the classic scenario for fashion brands, or not?
We could get there. We could get there. I think it's not an automatization. So because then I believe specifically now, maybe it's an early stage, it's better to try to generate some scarcity and don't overflow with the public with digital version, digital twins of all the garments we do. Because by the way, we do a lot. We don't realize how much stuff we have in our wardrobe until we move, right?
Right.
So yes, I think it will happen. I also think that it will be the other way around. So brands could start selling digital assets, and if they're good and successful and interesting, they might then develop the physical one. I really think that that could be the next evolution of how fashion will
That's a good
interact with
point.
the public and Web3. Is generating your presence in Web3 and then maybe do the physical version of that item.
Like the Bored Ape or CryptoPunks. I mean, they can become physical objects. They can become movies. They can be,
Yeah.
once you have the IP, the brand, then you can create everything you want, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's natural if you think about it. Before companies were trying products, now they have the opportunity to get an immediate feedback on products, seeing the reaction of their public, and it's easier than to develop the physical one because you already know they like it or they don't.
Yeah. And you also have the community ready to buy, by the way, that you already started, and you have all the community ready. What do you think about these new influencers, let's say, in the Web3 world? I was fascinated by the fact that maybe a super top celebrity, I don't want to make names, but a mega celebrity can jump in the space, do a project, and all right, not so good. Numbers are not incredible. And then a random 962.eth launch a project, and I don't know, does a Twitter space, and there are 10,000 people connected, and you think, who is this person? And maybe doesn't even have, some people, they don't even have they are anonymous, or if they do an interview, they are covered. I mean, it's like a weird space that sometimes I don't understand, but it is there. You have people really moving also a lot of money, and you have no idea who they are. What do you think about this new influencer scenario?
It's very exciting. I really
Yeah.
like it, honestly. I really like it because it's the revenge of the small one. It's the
Right.
revenge of
Right.
of David against Goliath. I think it's the most amazing thing. It's so democratic. You're no one, and you can become a millionaire and drive thousands of people to follow you, love you, and do whatever you do. And I really love it. That's why it's so fascinating. That's also why the way we are approaching this with our brands is with a lot of respect. So I participated to a series of talks and events with other pioneers in the space, and I told straight to the power. I said, listen, here I am, I'm coming, I have companies that makes millions, on my back. But to be truly honest, I'm no one in front of these guys here that are pioneers, and in a year they make a revolution, because we did a revolution 20, 30, 40 years ago, but they're doing a revolution today. So I have so much respect, and brands need to have that type of respect for who made this environment, but also who is using this space, and they cannot fuck this up. That's why, as you said, some talents come in that are famous outside of Web3, and they don't get so much traction because it's another space. So if you play this game, you need to play with the right rules, doing the right things, or you simply are not going to be successful.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think when you talk with people, companies, celebrities? On average, what's the level of understanding of this world? Um, if you do like a list and say, all right, I spoke with 10 CEOs this week, how many of them are interested in the space? They're not interested at all. They hate it. What's your general feeling there?
It has changed in the last months.
Oh, I
So
thought in the last 3 days, like I
yeah,
get often.
no, it's interesting. I mean, I remember doing a presentation to a series of CEOs in May last year, and they looked at me and they said, "Why are we wasting our time?" And
Wow.
I remember saying something like straightforward. I said, "If I would be you, I would invest in talents in gaming and Web3 today, and do projects with them and invest all your social media money in there." And one person, remember, stopped me and said, "No, we need to do also this, but we have to do a fashion show, we have to do a traditional magazine, we have to do social media, blah, blah, blah." And I look at him and I said, "In 2 years, you will be without a job." Now, I'm
Right.
not telling you how the story ended because it's not right, but it's you know, traditional companies didn't get it. Now it's getting better. I think
Okay.
even though not a lot of people might like what I say, but the fact that Facebook transformed into Meta kind of put really the attention of the mainstream public into it, and executives are now understanding more of this space and are getting more used to what metaverse mean, what NFTs are. There is a broader knowledge. Still, I think if you get 10 of them into a room and you ask how many of them have a digital wallet, maybe one or two raise their hands.
Right.
So we're still like in that I know more, but I still don't know enough. But at least there is a honest curiosity and the wish also to learn more and do more.
Is it probably also this tragic situation with Ukraine maybe helped to understand some use of crypto, like crypto donations was something interesting, how money can be decentralized and not frozen if it's really decentralized. I mean, there are some maybe good things coming out from there, and people maybe when they see practical use, then they start to understand better what's going on, and maybe when they don't need really to think too much. I don't know. I was just thinking that probably the Ukraine donation, I think 50-60 million dollar raised, was an interesting moment for this crypto war to show that it can be something useful, and the level of organization that Web3 bring together. Maybe that's the real thing, because yeah, you can send donation in a different way, traditional way, but the way you can so quickly organize with DAOs, for instance, and boom, 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 in 3 seconds, we are all in and in the same direction. That is unprecedented. That's my feeling.
I agree. I think it was a good case study on bringing something used for not so common uses or just by crypto users into the real life and real world of everybody. So I think in the bad situation that we are, it was definitely a good a good practice that brought the attention to this world and made people understand also outside of this world how crypto could be used, and that it's actually more effective and more fast than other traditional means. And also I want to add something with my startup with DK. We have a drop coming now also, and we had decided that all of our sales for the next weeks, 15% of all the profit we make will go to one organization trying to
Right.
support refugees. So it's definitely something in there. And I have to say, Web3 adapted so quickly. Everyone adapted so quickly. Talents, artists, everybody doing something. I'm really amazed about that sense of community that we talked before about.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting to think also about the evolution of that, because Ukraine government at the end didn't do the airdrop, but I was really thinking about that. If a city or a government or a country decide to use token and NFT in new ways, well, I mean, you can do a lot of things. Yesterday, I was tweeting, I was like thinking random stuff, and I thought, wow, imagine if the city of Venice, they release their token, and if you buy the token, you have, I don't know, access to
To the city.
lifetime access. Yeah, you have access to the, or no, okay, everyone can have access to the city, but if you have the token, you have life access, is a life pass to, I don't know, museum, and a gondola travel guarantee, I don't know, and you decide what it is, or there is a road with the photo of all the token holders. I don't know, you can invent things. Imagine how many people would buy for each city or places that they think are important. So you can really do a lot of things with this technology.
Yeah, right away. And sport also is
Yeah,
developing quite some interesting projects around it, similar to what you said. So making the fan feel part of the life of the club. Uh, it can be exactly the same, for cities. I know some cities actually are designing and developing their own metaverse city. I
right.
think in Korea, if I'm not mistaken, and where else? There are some other few cities that are really looking into it and investing quite some money. Um, Again, the adoption here are limitless, and it goes back to what we said before. If you stay true to yourself, you can do unique projects around NFTs. So it doesn't necessarily need to be, again, copying
Yeah,
on doing stuff that everybody is doing.
yeah, yeah. Yesterday, I joined this project that basically you raise money to build a new city in real world. So it's like
Oh,
this
cool.
community trying to build this new city according to certain principles. But it's interesting. I mean,
Is it
everything.
is it a is it a DAO or
Yeah, yeah. It will be structured as a DAO, and they bringing on. It's like a city. They build a city from zero, from scratch. So what is how we should build a city in 2022? So which land should we find? This kind of craziness that I love. What do you think about the metaverse user experience? Because I've been watching the Boy George Decentraland concert, and I mean, sometimes I just join some metaverse thing, and every time I think, gosh, it's still so. They are trying to move around. How and I go against the wall with my head. So the user experience is still, let's say, basic. I don't know how to say it in a better way. Well, how far are we to have like a cool, smooth experience? I mean, in gaming, we already have, if you play like some video
yes,
game, they are incredible already.
yes.
So what do you think about that? Because when I speak with critics, they say, yeah, but metaverse, is still like rubbish.
Hey, it's a good question. I know they're releasing upgrades week by week. Then how far are we from the real amazing experience that wants probably to live and spend most of your time there rather than outside? We're not that close yet. We're not that close yet. And but I think right now it's not even the experience, is the fact that you want to belong and participate that is really driving the attention to metaverse. um, that's at least my feeling. I want to go into the Centerland and the sandbox to see what other people are doing, participate, feel I was also part of it, go to an event and check in, say yes, I was there. um, but trust me, they are evolving, and the experience is going to be more and more and more seamless. Probably it's going to take still a few wall hit before we're really going to say that's the best experience of my life, I want to be in here for the entire day.
Got it. And crypto in general, what do you think about this crypto world that often is seen as just speculation, cryptocurrencies? There are 16,000 cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin as a digital property. I mean, that is a huge universe. I mean, how do you approach that?
I'm totally pro. I'm totally pro because I feel it's deregulated, and somehow that's what makes it interesting and cool. And who is making it really successful is the public, and not a central government or a central bank. So I think that's what fascinating again. It goes beyond organization. And by the way, that's why government central enforcers are so scared about this world, because they cannot control it. And who's really giving value to things are users, and what they do with it, why they like it, why they want to jump into a project. DAOs, DAC, I mean, it's all a mystery land for them, but it generates so much value for us and the users. The only thing that is important and fundamental is that the spirit that we have today stays the same, because now the spirit is is still a positive one. The
Yeah.
values are there. There are always some scammers, but in general, I want to say Web3. It's a space where there is a positive attitude, and people are really trying to develop interesting projects that generate values for all holders. If we stay with that vibe, there is a big chance that it will overcome maybe some institutions, and it's happening, by the way. In some countries,
Yeah.
they rather use cryptos rather than the local currency. So it's proven that is more stable than some institution.
How do you keep updated about this world? Because when they ask to me and they say, Monty, can you suggest a book? I say, well, I don't think a book is the right way, because the time they write the book and it's already everything completely different. So what's your media diet? Do you have any sources that you follow more? How do you try to stay updated on everything?
I follow people like you, so
Okay.
I follow people that knows, that
on
likes
on
to talk.
on hair shampoo and this kind of tips, yes.
No, Twitter Spaces, to some extent, little extent, Instagram, Discord, conversation. Um, but generally, you follow people that you understand, have been in the space, or have a point of view in the space that generate interesting speeches about the space. That's the way I go. Then I have my point of reference, friends that have been in this environment for quite some time. Uh, People in the from the sandbox, the central end, people that I know in Artifact. They all give you that little hint, that little information, that kind of keeps you inside what's happening. Maybe a little bit ahead of the curve, not so much. I didn't become millionaires thanks to Web3.
Right.
Just so everybody knows, I'm a later adopter. I'm not an early adopter, but that's the way to go. You need to invest your time, read, listen, as we used to do for other industries. Just need to pick the right ones, the right persons.
The right ones. How would you advise companies that want to educate their employees and, in general, create a better understanding of Web3 inside the company? What are the right steps to take, or what are the steps that you are taking yourself?
Well, first of all, if they really want to do the jump, organize yourself and hire competent people and generate your division inside your company. Secondly, if they don't want to do the full jump, I would tell them, don't ask traditional agencies, to come in and make your presentation, because they're just going to tell you something that is already gone, is already past, and they're telling you the obvious. It's better to involve and invest on people like yourself, that it's smart and has a point of view, has been in here for a while, or even you're a young 15, 14-year-old son, nephew that is into this space, because they do know a lot. It's so crazy. They have so much knowledge, and they can definitely help standard workers or standard person that don't know much, to get more used to it. That's what I did as well, by the way. I caught like a son of a friend, and I spent a few days with him, and I learned so much from him, more than anybody else out in the industry.
Yeah. Fantastic. Stefano, I was curious we are at the end of our conversation. I was curious, what's your daily routine? I mean, what kind of person are you? You are a 4 o'clock, wake up in the morning, military regime. How do you, how a Stefano Rosso day usually looks like?
My life, I think is very standard. So I wake up on my own. I'm already at that age that you don't need an alarm clock anymore. I
Right.
woke up around 7.
Right.
I get up. I try, if I can, to take my daughter to school. If not, I start already to work, meetings, video calls, um, like everybody else. And that's the good thing about you know the metaverse or the meta work is that you can literally go on the full day. And unfortunately, having a startup in the US, I can go on also
I
up
see.
to 11 midnight. That's my threshold. And if I can in the holes, I try to squeeze in some sport just to stay up, because your mind cannot be
Hip hop.
just in front of a screen. You need your body to release and clean your head to be more focused when you
What
work.
you doing? What sport are you into?
I played football all my life. I'm the president of a football team, Vicenza in Serie B. And if I can, I play that. Or lately, I've been loving playing paddle with friends, which usually do only in the weekend. It's very hard during the week, and that's it. And then, other than that, a little run just to clear my head again.
Fantastic. Stefano, so waiting for this 10th of March. I'll be there looking for it. There will be also some community supporting. There's, of course, my Crazy Fury NFT community, NFT magazine. I know that they will support the launch. And I'm really curious to see how will it go, and all the 30 projects after. I know that we'll have time to talk about everything in the future. But really, really, congrats! I think is a great move, and it was a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for guesting me. I really hope to see you at the next project, and I hope it's going to be very successful.
Fantastic. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good one. Ciao.